What is going on, guys? Matt O'Leary back with another video on this Thursday morning. Wanted to talk to you guys about Garrett Wilson and a report that he is interested in re-signing with the New York Jets. This video is powered by BetUS, the official sportsbook sponsor of the channel. Sign up using promo code YouTube150 and receive a 150% match deposit bonus on your first deposit up to $2,000. Taking a look at some of the odds over on BetUS, looking at Justin Fields' next team odds, obviously favored to return to the Pittsburgh Steelers. But if he doesn't return to the Steelers, the next best odds is the New York Jets at plus 200. Makes sense that the Jets would be interested in a guy like Justin Fields. They're going to need to add another veteran quarterback to this roster at some point. All right, so let's talk about it. Zach Rosenblatt is reporting that Garrett Wilson wants to re-up with the New York Jets and that a long-term deal will go a long way in keeping Garrett happy.
My understanding is that he wants to re-up with the Jets. I think that would, in his mind, I think that would go a long way toward him being happy with being a Jet, even more than like the quarterback situation, which he's probably happier that Rodgers is gone now. I don't know if it necessarily would have been like, I'm gone if you bring him back, as people have speculated, but I believe that if the Jets were to like show him some faith, some love with a big contract, I think you'd see a lot happier Garrett Wilson, because it would just mean they were committed to him.
I made this pretty clear on the channel. I would very much so be in favor of extending Garrett Wilson this offseason. I think he has absolutely earned a contract extension with his play on the field through his first 3 years in the league. The only Jets player in their history to start their career with 3 straight 1,000-yard seasons. He hasn't had that one monster year yet, but he has been a consistently very good wide receiver in this league through his first 3 years in the league. And if you look at some comparables from a year ago, now I get it for both these guys at this time of signing, Amon-Ra St. Brown and Brandon Ayuk both had a more impressive statistical season under their belt when they signed the deal. But they both got 4 for 120, which is a $30 million a year AAV. That's expected to be where Garrett Wilson is looking for a contract. I think that's more than fair, especially when you factor in the cap going up year over year and what last year's numbers look like versus this year's numbers, and what, honestly, the next year's numbers can look like. And it might be good for the Jets to be proactive for a change with their young players, because that's what the cost likely is going to be now at $30 million. And I get it. Like people have squabbled with me saying you should be really closer to 25. And I guess, yeah, you always want to get guys on a cheaper deal, but am I bending over backwards and going, there's no way I'm setting a hard line at $25 million for Garrett Wilson, I'm not going over it? That seems pretty short-sighted to me. And if he goes out there in 2025 in, the 4th year of his rookie deal, and then just has the 5th-year option after that, and has a 1,500-yard receiving season in 2025, or just, takes a big step forward stats-wise because Tanner Engstrand realizes getting the ball to your playmaker's hands is a good idea, unlike Nathaniel Hackett, then he becomes a $35 million a year player. This is like the exact situation that happened with the Bengals and Ja'Marr Chase. Now, Ja'Marr Chase, better receiver than Garrett Wilson. Like, don't get lost on that comp to get from Garrett Wilson to Ja'Marr Chase. I'm not saying that's the level that Garrett Wilson's playing at right now. But the point is, the Bengals had an opportunity to sign Ja'Marr Chase a year ago. He likely would have got close, like 30 to 35 million. Justin Jefferson got 35 million, so somewhere in that range. They waited a year. He has a monster season, and now they're talking about giving him essentially $40 million, making him the highest paid non-quarterback in the league. Don't cost yourself. Be proactive with your own guys. He's turning 25 years old this year. He's been very, very good through his first 3 years in the league. It's a little bit projecting, but I mean, teams do it all the time. Not even just NFL. Like, I'm a big Mets fan, so if you want to go to the baseball side of it, we've seen the Atlanta Braves sign their young players way before they're reaching even arbitration levels, and they get them on these incredibly cheap long-term deals because they're young and then are willing to pay to project a little bit what their prime is going to look like. And it's worked out a ton. He should be a very, very good player over the next 4 to 6 years, you would think, if he's turning 25 this year. 4 years, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. That's the next 6 years. And who knows? We've seen receivers be productive into their early 30s. You never know, but I'm confident in saying that pretty much for the next 4 to really more like 6 years, you're going to be expecting Garrett Wilson to be an 1,000-yard receiver. And just for the Jets in particular, too, like they never, ever do this. Had an opportunity with Bryce Huff. They don't pay him. He walks in free agency. Fine. He doesn't have a good year in Philly anyway, but that was weird how Philadelphia handled him this year. I don't think they played him to his strength. He's a wide 9 guy, and that's not really what they did. But that's not the point. The Jets didn't do it with Bryce Huff when he was, having these really good pressure seasons, even though the stats weren't there and they could have projected maybe a little bit better than they did. But they don't pay their own guys in general. They waited forever to pay Quinnen Williams. So the market was already set for them at that point. And they usually trade their own guys. They don't draft and keep their own talent much. You need to build a good core. Yes, you have to supplement your roster with trades and free agency. But the value is when you find guys on rookie deals, they're productive, and then you keep them through their prime. Look at over the last, we'll use a 10-year sample size for homegrown developed guys that got real contract extensions. And I'm not talking, 1 year Ashton Davis or 1 year the edge from Jordan Jenkins from the 2016 draft. I'm talking Michael Carter gets a pretty significant extension for his position. Quinnen Williams gets a contract extension. And then before that, you got to go back to Mo Wilkerson, who was drafted in 2011 and signed in 2016? I mean, guys, they don't ever really get an opportunity to extend their own guys. And I think they should do that with Garrett Wilson, and they probably should do it with Sauce Gardner too. Maybe they wait a year on Sauce Gardner because they go, he was down last year. But you know what? If he goes back to being the all-pro that we saw in his first 2 years, well, his $24 to $25 million a year is probably going to turn into closer to 30 next year. So just the point of this video is take care of your own. Set a good precedent for players. If you come in and do your job, you're going to get rewarded for it. Build a nice young core that you're able to find through the NFL draft. And then you don't have to go out and spend bonkers money in free agency. You have money to spend in free agency this year, but use it to supplement the roster. Don't try to go out there and buy it like in 2015 or 2019 with Mike Maccagnan. Anyway, that's my thoughts on the situation. Let me know how you feel about Garrett Wilson and a potential contract extension. Sound off in the comments below. I'm Matt O'Leary, and I'll catch you next time.